As reported recently, Ukrainian long-range drones have attacked and sunk a Russian cargo vessel carrying Iranian Shahed drones before they could be unloaded. This was only the first step of what followed, a broader campaign in which Ukraine targeted everything connected to the Iranian Shahed drones, from launch sites to massive storage depots and assembly plants, according to Euromaidan Press media outlet. The first target of Ukraine became Port Olya on the Caspian Sea, where they targeted a vessel of extreme importance, as the ship was loaded with ammunition and drone parts for Iranian Shahed drones. Olya is Russia's main port on the Caspian, linking Iran with inland routes, and striking here disrupted a key corridor that has funneled Iranian drones into Russia for nightly strikes on Ukrainian cities. The attack showed that shipments can be destroyed even at their entry point, far from the front, and for Ukraine, this sets a precedent for targeting the logistics routes that feed Russia's drone campaign. Ukraine has begun a methodical campaign against every stage of the Shahed program, aiming to destroy transport, launch, storage, and production sites in sequence. Euromaidan Press says the next strike hit the Primorsko-Akhtarsk airfield in Krasnodar, a known launch site for Shaheds across the Sea of Azov. Overnight, drones hit launch areas with satellite data confirming fires shortly after Russian launch activity was detected. Because this airfield has been central to Russia's swarm attacks, earlier satellite data shows repeated targeting to reduce operational capacity over time. Each strike forces Moscow to lean more on mobile launchers, which reduces massing and degrades the effectiveness of their saturation-style attacks. Ukraine also struck storage depots in Tatarstan, over 1,300 kilometers from the border. At Kyzyl, long-range drones hit warehouses storing ready-to-use Shaheds and imported parts, igniting fires that burned through the site. Russian outlets tried to minimize the impact, but Ukrainian intelligence confirmed that a large number of drones were destroyed before they could move forward. Images shared by Russian sources of similar depots suggest that a single warehouse can hold a full strike package, often numbering hundreds in one facility alone. This was not an isolated event, as Ukraine hit the same depot again a short while later, waiting for the depot to be replenished before striking again. The factory at Yelabuga in Tatarstan has also remained under Ukrainian fire because this plant is the largest and central to Russia's effort to assemble Shaheds domestically and reduce dependency on Iranian supplies. Earlier strikes damaged workshops and caused fires, and recent attacks again reached the site. Euromaidan Press says the sequence of strikes on a ship destroyed in Astrakhan, a launch site hit in Krasnodar, depots burning in Tatarstan, and a factory repeatedly attacked reflects a deliberate strategy. By striking the supply chain from point of entry through storage and launch to final assembly, Kiev has shown that every stage is vulnerable and that distance no longer guarantees protection.
In the Kursk region, the Russian army has once again struck its own population. In the village of Kuriz, Glushkovsky district, a Russian military plane dropped an air bomb, which fell right on a residential area. The incident occurred on the eve of the onset of autumn cold weather, leaving dozens of people homeless. Local residents filmed a video from the scene. At least 10 houses were destroyed. Most of them had only walls and foundations left. According to preliminary data, the bomb itself did not explode, it was removed from the resulting crater. However, even the blast wave from the fall was enough to cause damage comparable to a direct hit. Eyewitnesses report that the force of the impact was such that the surviving windows were blown out even on neighboring streets. One of the residents said that the house collapsed like a card. The bomb, presumably a FAB-500, is a typical munition that regularly falls from Russian aircraft in the Belgorod and Kursk regions. The reliability of Russian equipment remains at a level. Such incidents are becoming more frequent. This is not the first time that the Russian army has bombed its own territory. The military explains this by abnormal ammunition failures, but in fact it is a systemic problem. The bombs, suspensions, and equipment used are outdated and worn out. Such self-damage has become routine. From Sevastopol to Belgorod, Russians are increasingly suffering from their own aviation.
И снова здравствуйте, односельчане. Вчера я вам показывал, что у нас на дороге лежала бомба. Вот, пожалуйста, тут, где она лежала. Яма в мой рост, 1,70 м. А это ее последствия. Вот дом и летняя кухня Юры Воловченко. Вот, если вы видите, пожалуйста, это ее последствия. Соседский домик, он у бабушки был. Это дом пожилой. Вот еще. Это дом пожилой пары Вити с Таней. Теперь жить негде. Собственно говоря, вот все вы сами заметили. Любителям ТикТока и Телеграма, которые говорят, что об этом не пишут, поэтому этого не бывает. Вот оно. Сейчас еще пройду домик Саши, покажу нашего инженера, чтобы видели.
Russia will not accept a NATO-linked peacekeeping force in Ukraine, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov told journalists on Wednesday. According to Associated Press, Peskov said Moscow views such discussions negatively. There is no European military, there are the militaries of specific countries, and most of these countries are NATO members, he said. However, he did not give further details of what security guarantees Moscow could give Ukraine. Peskov also repeated Moscow's position that peace talks between the two sides could not move to a higher level until groundwork had been laid for a deal, delaying the prospect of a meeting between Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. A meeting between the two leaders has been a long-term goal for U.S. President Donald Trump.
На Аляске состоялся очень содержательный, конструктивный, полезный и нужный разговор между нашими двумя президентами. Мы высоко оцениваем результативность этого разговора. Действительно затрагивались различные вопросы, связанные с украинским регулированием. В продолжении той работы, которую ведет российская сторона, и в продолжении тех миротворческих усилий, которые предпринимает Трамп и члены его администрации. Считаем, что говорить о каких-то деталях в отрыве от общего контекста и в публичном режиме было бы вряд ли полезно для общего результата дела. Полагаем, что работа должна дальше вестись в непубличном формате. Только так можно достичь результата. Собственно, не существует европейских военных. Существуют военные конкретных стран. И большинство этих стран являются членами НАТО. В самом начале именно продвижение военной инфраструктуры НАТО и инфильтрация этой военной инфраструктуры в Украину, это можно, наверное, назвать среди первопричин вот той конфликтной ситуации, которая возникла. Поэтому мы относимся негативно к этим обсуждениям.